They ignored me at work every day until I finally spoke up and changed everything there. It's a kind of silence that hurts more than words. Not the peaceful kind. Not the kind you choose. The kind where people simply don't see you. That was my life for a long time. My name is Marcus Hill, and every single day I went to work feeling invisible. Not bullied, not openly disrespected, just ignored. And if you've ever felt that, you know how slowly that breaks you. I worked at a mid-sized office. Nothing special, nothing terrible. Just one of those places where people show up, do their job, and go home at least. That's how it looked from the outside. From the inside, it was different. Teams formed naturally. People had their circles, their conversations, their jokes, their rhythm. And somehow, I was never part of any of it. It didn't happen all at once. That's the part that's hard to explain. There wasn't a moment where everything changed. It was gradual, subtle, easy to ignore at first. Meetings where my ideas weren't acknowledged. Conversations where my presence didn't change anything. Moments where I spoke, and no one really responded. At the beginning, I told myself it was nothing. They're just busy. Maybe I need to speak more clearly. Maybe it's just timing. That's what we do. We try to make sense of it. We give people the benefit of the 80 dots. We adjust ourselves over and over again. But after a while, it stops feeling like coincidence and starts feeling like a pattern. I remember one meeting in particular. We were discussing a new project. Ideas were being thrown around. Everyone talking, interrupting each other. Trying to stand out, I waited, listened then. Finally, I spoke. Calm, clear. Straight to the point. I shared an idea I had been thinking about for days, something that could actually improve the process. I finished speaking, and then nothing. No reaction, no acknowledgement, just silence for a second. Before someone else started talking about something completely different, like I hadn't said anything at all. I sat there, still trying to process what just happened, because it wasn't rejection. It was worse. It was like I didn't exist. A few minutes later, someone else suggested something very similar, almost the same idea. Different words, and suddenly, everyone reacted. That's a great point. We should explore that. That could work. I felt it. That quiet frustration building inside. Not loud, not explosive, just heavy. Because I knew I had just said the same thing, but it didn't land, not because of the idea, because of me. That moment stayed with me, not because it was dramatic, because it was consistent. It wasn't the first time, and it wouldn't be the last. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and the pattern continued. Emails I sent got delayed responses, sometimes no response at all. Messages in group chats ignored. Suggestions overlooked. I started speaking less. Not consciously, it just happened. Because when your voice doesn't change anything, you start questioning if it's worth using. Lunch breaks were the same. People sitting together, talking, laughing, and me. Either sitting alone or quietly at the edge of a table, listening more than speaking, existing, but not included. The strange part was, no one was mean. No one said anything directly. No one told me I didn't belong. But that's what made it harder, because there was nothing to confront, nothing to point at, just a feeling. A consistent, quiet feeling of being outside. And over time, that feeling starts to change you. You become more reserved, more careful, more aware of how you speak, when you speak. If you should speak at all, you start analyzing everything. Every word, every reaction, every silence. Because now it's not just work, it's mental, emotional, constant. I remember one night clearly. I got home, dropped my bag, sat down, and just stared at the wall. Not tired physically, but drained completely. And the thought came, clear, unfiltered, double quotes. Maybe I just don't belong here. That thought. It doesn't come from one moment. It builds slowly until it feels real, until it feels like truth. And once you believe that, everything starts to feel heavier. Going to work becomes harder. Speaking feels pointless. Trying feels exhausting. But I still showed up every day, on time, did my job, delivered results, because that's who I was. Disciplined, responsible even, when it didn't feel worth it. Even when no one noticed. And that's the part that confused me the most. I was doing everything, right? Meeting deadlines, helping when asked, being consistent. So why did it feel like none of it mattered? That question stayed in my mind for a long time, and the more I thought about it, the more it started to affect me outside of work too. Because when you feel invisible in one place, it starts following you. You carry it into conversations, into new environments, into how you see yourself. I started second-guessing everything, even small things, even simple interactions, and slowly, my confidence started fading. Not suddenly, but quietly, just like everything else, until one day, something happened. Small, but different. Something that broke the pattern and forced me to see everything in a new way. Not because someone else changed, but because I did. That small moment didn't come out of nowhere. It came after weeks of pressure building inside me. Quietly, constantly, like us. Something that was waiting for a reason to finally break. And the truth is, I was getting tired, not just physically, mentally, emotionally. Tired of trying, tired of adjusting, tired of pretending it didn't bother me, because it did. More than I wanted to admit. There was a point where I seriously considered leaving. Not because I had something better, but because staying felt suffocating. Waking up every day to go somewhere, you feel invisible. It starts to wear you down. Slowly at first, then all at once. I remember sitting in my car one morning, don't engine off, hands on the steering wheel, just staring forward. I wasn't late, I just couldn't get myself to walk in. That had never happened. Before, I had always been disciplined, no matter how I felt. I showed up, but that day, something felt different. Heavy. That's the only way to describe it. Like my body was resisting. Like something inside me was saying, this isn't right. I took a deep breath, closed my eyes for a second, and forced myself to move. Because that's what I had always done. Push through, ignore. The feeling keep going. But that day stayed with me because it showed me something I had been avoiding. This wasn't just discomfort anymore. It was affecting me deeply at work. Things continued the same way. Meetings, conversations, silences, ignored inputs. Nothing new. But my reaction to it was changing. I wasn't just observing it anymore. I was feeling it more intensely. Every time someone interrupted me, I noticed. Every time my idea got ignored, I felt it. Every time someone else got credit for something similar, it stayed with me longer, and that's when frustration started building. Real frustration. The kind you can't ignore. The kind that sits in your chest and doesn't leave. One afternoon, it peaked. We were in another meeting. Same setup, same energy, same dynamic. Ideas going around. People talking over each other, trying to be heard. I had something to say again. But this time, I hesitated, not because I didn't have an idea, because I already knew what might happen. That hesitation, it made me pause. And in that pause, someone else spoke, shared something. Everyone reacted, and I sat there. Quiet. And that's when it hit me. Not anger, not even frustration. Something deeper. Disappointment. Not in them, in myself, because in that moment, I realized something. It wasn't just that people were ignoring me. I had started ignoring myself, too. Holding back, staying quiet, avoiding the risk of being overlooked again. And in doing that, I was reinforcing the very thing that was frustrating me. That realization, it wasn't comfortable at all, because it meant I had a role in what was happening. Not all of it, but part of it. And that's hard to accept, because it's easier to blame. Everything outside, it's harder to look at. What you're allowing, what you're tolerating, what you're not doing. That meeting ended like the others. People got up. Conversations moved on. Nothing changed except me. I stayed seated for a moment longer, looking at the table, thinking, processing, and a question came to my mind, clear, direct. When was the last time I actually stood up for myself? Not aggressively, not emotionally, just clearly, honestly. The answer came quickly. I hadn't, not really. I had adjusted, adapted, stayed quiet, hoped things would change, but I never actually addressed it. And in that moment, something shifted. Because for the first time, I wasn't just feeling like a victim of the situation. I was seeing my own silence in it. And that gave me something unexpected. Not blame, control, because if my silence was part of the problem, then my voice could be part of the solution. That thought stayed with me the rest of the day and into the night. I went home, sat down, and replayed everything in my mind. All the moments, all the times I stayed quiet. All the times I let things pass. All the times I minimized myself to avoid discomfort, and realized something important. I wasn't being ignored because I had nothing to offer. I was being overlooked because I wasn't claiming space. There's a difference, a big one, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. That night, I didn't distract myself. No scrolling, no background noise, just silence and thought. Because I knew something had to change. Not tomorrow, not eventually now, the next day. I walked into work differently, not louder, not more aggressive, just aware. Of myself, of my presence, of what I was willing to accept and what I wasn't. I didn't have a full plan. I didn't know exactly how things would go. But I had made a decision. I wouldn't sit quietly anymore. Not in the way I had been, not by shrinking, not by waiting. If I had something to say, I would say it clearly, directly, without apologizing for it. And that decision, it changed everything. Not instantly, not dramatically, but it set something in motion. Because what I didn't know yet was that one moment was coming. One moment where everything would be tested and everything would shift. That moment came faster than I expected. It didn't wait for me to feel fully ready. It didn't give me time to rehearse. It just happened. Another meeting, same room, same people, same energy. But I wasn't the same. I sat there, listening, observing, not just what people were saying, but how they were saying it. Interruptions, ideas overlapping, certain voices being heard more than others. Patterns I had seen before, but never fully acknowledged like this. And then it happened again. Someone presented an idea. Everyone reacted, discussion started, momentum built. And as I listened, I realized something. The idea had a flaw, a clear one, something that would create problems later, something I had actually thought about before. I would have stayed quiet, let it go, watched it unfold, but not this time. I felt it, that moment, that internal push, the one that says, say something, and right behind it, the familiar hesitation. What if they ignore you again? What if it doesn't land? What if you make it worse? Those thoughts came fast, automatic, but something else came to dot, stronger, Double quotes, if you stay quiet again, nothing changes. That was it. That was the line. And I crossed it. I leaned forward slightly, took a breath, and spoke. Can I add something? Simple, clear, but different from how I used to say it. Not hesitant, not quiet, just present. Something subtle happened in that moment. People paused. Not everyone, but enough. And that was already different. I continued, I think the idea has potential, but there's a risk we're not considering. No apology, no over-explaining, just direct. I pointed out the issue, calmly, clearly, no motion, just logic. Then I stopped, didn't keep talking, didn't try to convince. I just let it sit. For a second, there was silence, and in that silence, everything felt amplified. My heartbeat, the tension in the room, the weight of what I had just done. Because it wasn't just about the idea, it was about breaking a pattern. Then someone responded, wait, what do you mean? That question, it mattered. Because it meant they were listening, really listening, I explained. Briefly, straight to the point, and this time, something different happened. People didn't move on. They leaned in, questions followed. Discussion shifted, and suddenly, the conversation was centered around what I had just said. I stayed calm, answered when needed, didn't overdo it, didn't try to dominate, just stayed present. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't on the outside of the conversation. I was part of it. Actually part of it. Then the manager spoke. Good catch. That's something we definitely need to consider. That sentence. It hit differently because it wasn't just agreement, it was acknowledgement, public acknowledgement. Something I hadn't experienced there before. And in that moment, I felt it. Not pride, not relief. Something. Deeper validation, not from them, from myself, because I had finally done something different. I didn't shrink. I didn't stay quiet. I showed up fully. The meeting continued, but everything felt different. Now, not because people suddenly changed completely, but because the dynamic shifted subtly, but clearly. People looked at me more, included me in follow-ups, asked for my input, and I realized something important. It wasn't just about speaking once, it was about how I showed up when I did, before. When I spoke, I was unsure, hesitant, almost asking for permission. Now, I was clear, grounded, present, and people respond to that more than we think. After the meeting, something else happened. One of my coworkers walked up to me, someone who had barely interacted with me before. Hey, he said, that was a good point back there. Simple, but real. I nodded. Thanks. Short, no overthinking. No awkwardness, just normal. And that's when it really hit me. I hadn't changed who I was. I hadn't become louder or more aggressive, or someone else. I had just stopped holding myself back, and that changed how others saw me. The rest of the day felt lighter, not because everything was fixed, but because something had shifted internally and externally. For the first time, I felt like I had a place there, not because it was given to me, because I claimed it. That's the difference no one talks about. You can wait to be included, or you can step in. And yes, there's risk, there's discomfort, there's the possibility of being ignored again. But there's also something else change, and that moment was just the beginning. That moment didn't turn my life around. Overnight, nothing dramatic happened the next day. No sudden promotion, no instant respect from everyone. That's not how real change works. But something had shifted. And once something shifts inside you, it's hard to go back to how things were before. The next few days were different, subtly, but noticeably. I kept showing up the same way. Not louder, not trying to prove anything. Just consistent. Present, clear when I spoke. And intentional about when I chose to speak. That was new for me. Before, I either stayed quiet or overthought every word. Now, I trusted myself more, and that showed in small ways at first, in meetings. I spoke when I had something relevant, not waiting for the perfect moment, not asking for permission, just stepping in. Sometimes people agreed, sometimes they didn't, but that didn't shake me anymore, because I wasn't measuring my value by their reaction. I was measuring it by my presence, and that changes everything. People started noticing. Not all at once, but over time, the same people who used to talk over me started pausing. The same voices that once ignored me started asking, "Marcus, what do you think?" The first time that happened, I almost didn't believe it. Not because I doubted them, because I wasn't used to it. But I answered calmly, directly, like it was normal, because now it was. And something interesting happened. The more I showed up that way, the more it became expected. Not forced, not demanded, just natural. That's how perception works. It doesn't change because you asked for it. It changes because you show people something different, consistently. Outside of meetings, things shifted to small conversations started happening. Nothing deep at first, just simple interactions, comments, jokes, observations. But they were real, and more importantly, they were mutual. I wasn't on the outside anymore. I was part of the flow, not the center, but not invisible either. And honestly, that's all I ever wanted. Not attention, not recognition, just to be seen. Weeks passed, and with each one, I felt more grounded, more confident, not because everything was perfect, but because I wasn't shrinking anymore. I wasn't holding myself back, and that alone changed how I experienced everything. Then something bigger happened. A project came. Important, high visibility. The kind of opportunity that usually went to the same people. But this time, my name was mentioned. At first, I thought I misheard. But then the manager looked directly at me and said, "Marcus, I think you'd be a good fit for this." For a second, I just sat there, processing, because that moment, it wasn't just about the project, it was about everything that led to it. All the days I showed up, all the moments I spoke, all the times I chose not to stay quiet. It added up, and now it was visible. "I'm in," I said. Simple, confident, no hesitation. That project changed a lot, not just how others saw me, how I saw myself. Because now I had proof, real proof, that I belonged. Not because someone gave me permission, because I stepped into it. And here's the part that matters most. Nothing about me magically changed. I didn't become more talented overnight. I didn't suddenly gain new skills. I didn't transform into a completely different person. I just stopped minimizing who I already was. That's it, and that was enough. Looking back now, I understand something I didn't before. They didn't ignore me because I had nothing to offer. They ignored me because I wasn't showing it fully. Because I was holding back. Because I was waiting. Because I was hoping things would change on their percent. Because I was hoping things would change on their own. But they don't. Not like that. Change starts when you decide to show up differently. Even when it's uncomfortable. Even when it feels risky. Even when there's a chance nothing will happen. Because sometimes, that one moment, that one decision to speak, is all it takes to shift everything. I used to sit in those meetings feeling invisible. Like I didn't matter. Like my voice didn't carry weight. And the hardest part wasn't what people did, it was what I allowed. Silence, doubt, hesitation. But once I broke that, everything changed. Not instantly, not perfectly, but permanently. So if you're in a place right now where you feel overlooked, ignored, like your presence doesn't make a difference, listen carefully, because this matters. You don't need to become someone else. You don't need to be louder than everyone. You don't need to fight for attention. You just need to stop holding yourself back. Speak when it matters. Be clear, be present, stand in what you know, even if your voice shakes at first, even if it feels uncomfortable. Because the moment you start showing up fully, people notice. And more importantly, you notice, and that's where everything begins. They ignored me at work every day until I finally spoke up, and when I did, I didn't just change how they saw me, I changed how I saw myself. And that's changed everything.